219 days since the start of the NBA season. Shady, if you don't get out my face and let me get on with this show. Family, 219 days since the start of the NBA season, but it all comes down to 48 minutes. Literally, the entirety of the season comes down to tonight for the Dallas Mavs and the Minnesota Timberwolves. It's an elimination game. This is what you watch sports shows for. This is what we're about to do the next 90 minutes for the 48 minutes that they are about to play. But here is what you need to pay attention to. There are 4 stars in this game, and they all have done incredibly unique things. Let's start with Luka Doncic. What has Luka done? 12 double-doubles this postseason, family, more than anybody else in basketball. While that is nice, Kyrie, he's the most clutch player in the playoffs. 120 fourth-quarter points. Ain't nobody else even sniffing that. Ant-Man. Does he need an introduction? The dude is the only player ranked in the top 5 when you're talking about points in the paint and also points from the three-point line, the tray balls. And then Karl Anthony Towns, the all-star forward for the T-Wolves, only 7-footer that's got 3 games with 4+ made threes. Where are you going to put your trust? They have trusted that for 219 days over the course of the season, they can advance to the NBA Finals. But who in the world do you trust in this ball game? Is it Luka? Is it Ant-Man? Is it Kyrie? Is it Cat? That is the question. Or is it somebody else that I am missing? James Jones, you look colorful.
What's going on, man?
It's all good, big dog. It's all good. It's a good look.
Shots fired. That's all good.
That is James Jones, Super Bowl champ. To his right, Joy Taylor. Joy, how are we feeling?
I'm great. I thought we weren't letting him throw no more.
That wasn't a shot. I said he looked colorful.
It's all good.
That was kind. That was kind. That was a compliment.
He was tricky with compliments.
Is Joy's colorful? What you mean? Eagles all-time rushing leader, also the all-time instigator, LeSean Shady McCoy.
Hey, how's my defense, Paul? How's my defense?
You could not play in the NBA. Two-way player. You got a two-way contract in your future.
Kyrie.
Family, speaking of Kyrie, let me ask you the question, Shady, that I asked the audience. Who in the world is the most important player in this elimination game? Kyrie, 14-1 in elimination games. He eliminates his opponents whenever he smells blood. So who's most important player on the court?
Cat. Meow. Mr. Meow.
Mr. Meow.
Right. Respectfully, I'm saying meow.
Never heard that one before.
It's got to be Cat. If you really watch the way they play, man, like I think Ant-Man's going to give you that aggressive approach we seen last game.
Yep.
Because they got to have it. It's a must-win for them. And I think the only player that I think affects the game more than Ant-Man is Anthony Towns. I need you to play smart. He hasn't been playing smart in that last game. It didn't affect him because he did score. He was shooting a 3-ball well at the end of the game, and he was aggressive at the rim. But we need you to be aggressive. You're a 7-footer, bro. And I want to be honest and say this. Other than Kyrie Irving and probably Luka, who's more skilled than Karl Anthony Towns? You 7 foot, can dribble, can shoot. Think about that for a second. You play anywhere on the floor.
No doubt.
Everybody can't say that. And another thing about the Timberwolves, right? They're 7-1 when he has 18 points or more. Ooh. That's a real stat. And you playing this game, it's always these small little things. Okay, if LeSean McCoy can get this many carries a game and he rushes for these many yards, we can win this game. So now your whole game plan is different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be hard to beat Luka and Kyrie Irving. It's going to be hard to beat them, but you already did it on the road. Yeah. Come back home. It goes to Cat, bro. Ant-Man's the man, obviously. He's going to start this thing up, start aggressive, of course. But we need Cat to play his game. Stay out of foul trouble. Stop fouling so much for no reason. Yeah. I mean, he got some dumb fouls, though. And then after he makes the dumb fouls, he look at the ref like, please, how could you? How could you? So I'm putting everything on Mr. Meow.
You putting everything on Cat, huh? Cat's a good one, because, I mean, Cat got to show up for them to win.
Yes, sir.
But to be honest with you, I'm kind of looking at Cat as a role player right now. Because he did not really play that well in the Nuggets series. He wasn't truly dominant, and they found a way to win that series, right? This series, he ain't been that dominant, right? He hit 4 threes in the last game that helped him get a win, but he ain't really one of the stars. It's time for the Dallas Mavericks to close this series out. And your stars got to show up in big-time games. To me, the only true star on the Timberwolves right now that's been a star consistently is Ant-Man.
Sure.
Not Karl Anthony Towns. Kyrie Irving got to show up tonight. Kyrie Irving has to be a star. When Kyrie Irving is aggressive and Kyrie Irving is getting buckets, the Dallas Mavericks are a really good basketball team, and they do not lose basketball games. The Dallas Mavericks has to close this series out tonight. Every game, somebody can get hurt. Every game, Luka can get more banged up, and you are trying to get to the Western Conference Finals. You don't want to drag this thing out. So all the pressure to me is on Kyrie to deliver. You have to come out. You have to be aggressive. You know when Luka gets this basketball, Luka is going to dominate this basketball. It's not going to move the way it's supposed to move. Kyrie, when you get it, you have to be aggressive as well. I think a lot of this pressure is on Kyrie tonight to close this thing out and get his team to the finals.
I think you're kind of speaking from a little bit of bias that you think that's just over, so that Kyrie.
Oh, you
play
still
that
think
way.
it's a chance?
I mean, I think that they could. I think they could win tonight, and I think they could make this a longer series. I agree with Shady. It's Big Cat purr.
I should say purr.
Purr, big purr. It's Cat. Here's why, though, because the stat that Shady mentioned is the important part. They are, what, 17-1 when he scores?
7-1
when he scores.
7-1? 7-1 when they score 18 points or more. So game 1, he had 16 points.
Loss.
Game 2, he had 15 points.
L.
Game 3, they had 14 points. He had 14 points. L. 25 points in game 4.
That's what I'm saying. How can you say star, though?
But it didn't say most important star. It says most important player.
I know.
And he's the number 2, right? We all agree that Ant is the number 1. He is the most important number 2 that they have. Yes, you could argue they have a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year in Rudy Gobert, but he's not contingent on them winning or not. And I actually disagree with how you feel about how he played in the Nuggets series, because he was pretty influential defensively in that series.
Oh,
And he shot the ball. pretty well.
Yeah, I think he played a big role in why they won that series. For sure. I mean, the combination of Rudy, him, and Naz Reid was important, but I think he played a big role in that. His offensive contribution is going to be crucial for them winning or not. I mean, you can basically boil it down to, if he has not even a big game, if he just hits his average, 21.8 points per game, that's what he needs to do. So I think Cat is really, really important. We know what Ant's going to go out there and do energy-wise. Obviously, it's going to be an elimination game, so you're going to expect everyone to bring the energy. But he has to hit his shots. Ant's going to do what he needs to do. He's their number 2. He needs to do that as well. When we talk about the Mavs, obviously we talk about Luka, but we know that Kyrie is going to contribute. We don't have any questions about that. If they're going to win, they have to have no questions about what Cat is going to do, especially offensively.
And real quick, what you're saying, Cat probably could have even more points if he wasn't in foul trouble last game.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Right? 'Cause he was going to the rim early in the game.
He was aggressive, yep.
Yeah.
To me, this is a number 2 game. This game's about the number 2s. Shady's talked about it. Joyce talked about it. James, you've talked about it. Game 6 Clay became Game 6 Clay for a reason. Because in Game 6, Klay Thompson, he was going to put the team on his back. This is a game where the number 2 has to shine. And for me, it's all Cat. The most important player on the court is Cat, because the 3 times Kyrie Irving outscored Cat, Kyrie's the number 2 on the Dallas Mavericks, the Mavericks won. The one time that Cat outscored Kyrie Irving, Cat, the number 2 for the Minnesota Timberwolves, the T-Wolves won. Can you, as a number 2, neutralize their number 2? Because the T-Wolves 3 through 7 is better than the Mavs 3 through 7, particularly with Lively being out. Lively right now is questionable. We do not know if he's going to play, come off the bench, however the case may be. So if we know that the T-Wolves are a deeper team, in practicality, reality, or theory, the T-Wolves are a better team. They're a higher seed for a reason. We know the T-Wolves have never lost more than 3 games straight, and they lost 3 games straight come the playoffs, and they lost 3 games straight to the Dallas Mavericks and 3 games straight to the Denver Nuggets. We know the T-Wolves should be better. The T-Wolves should be deeper. If Cat can just neutralize Kyrie, then the T-Wolves should win the game. So for me, James Jones, it's all about Cat, because you just have to take out their top dog. Cut off the head of the snake. You cut off the head of the snake, that body can't do nothing to you, because the Dallas Mavericks, as it pertains to 3 through 7, they're not deep enough. They got Naz Reid. They got Conley. Gobert defensively, whatever you may feel about them, those 4 defensive players of the Warriors, they weren't lucky. So if you can neutralize the head of the snake, I think the Mavs will be taken care of tonight.
Who you trust more, Kyrie or Cat?
Way different question. Kyrie, obviously.
I'm just asking.
Kyrie, of
Who
course.
You trust Kyrie more than you trust Cat?
10,000 times over.
Way more.
10,000 times over.
Gotcha.
Why you ask?
I asked that because Cat ain't really playing with no pressure or none of that type stuff.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
You don't think there's no pressure being down 3-1 at home? You don't think there's no pressure
not
at
for
all?
Cat. Not for Cat. If Cat comes in out here and scores 14 points and they lose the game, you know what we're gonna be talking about when we come up in here? Ant.
I don't know.
I think it
People
depends
been,
on how it
people been
goes.
talking about
People been on
Cat.
Cat's head.
Yeah, they do. And if Ant goes out here and has a game of his life, and that's what Ant does, and they
Right.
lose,
Okay.
we're not gonna blame Ant.
I want Acho.
Talk to me.
Acho does this show.
Talk to me.
All right, if they lose, I want to see if Acho's topic leads Cat.
Wait, come on. If Ant has 40,
Yeah.
right? And they lose. We're gonna still go Ant.
I'm just saying if Ant does what Ant does, if Ant has 27
And they lose.
and they lose,
Yeah, we talking.
You're just saying that the topic bar is not gonna say Cat.
no,
It's not. And it's not.
No,
It's not.
that's a good point. Now he's not.
Shady will.
But everybody should be saying Cat. He just be hard
But
on.
no, for me, I look at it like this, and I understand where James is coming from. Is the stars get all the praise, and for me, the stars get all of the blame. Now, I am biased. I self-admittedly, I will wear my flaws and wear my scars. I played in the NFL where the quarterback, we praise him when everything goes good, but then you want to look at the defense, you want to look at everything else when everything goes bad. So I just am naturally trained to, if you gonna praise this sorry quarterback when the defense held the opponent to 14 points or 10 points, then give the quarterback the blame too. I say that to say, if we're going to praise Ant, James, I remember, and it still rubs me the wrong way. After the Nuggets got closed out by the T-Wolves, we came on the show. And James Jones said, man, you see the way they just followed Ant? I'm sitting here thinking, James, Ant was like 6 for 24, had about 14 points. And you came up here and bragged about how they followed the man. We didn't talk about how Cat played well, like Joy just alluded to. We didn't talk about Conley. We didn't talk about Gobert's defense. Well, we came up here and said, man, but they followed Ant.
we led with
Can we praise somebody else when they're doing well? So I say that to say, even if it's Cat's the most important player, but Ant, like Joy, like we all allude to, Ant will be talked about. He will be talked about.
I kind of understand what James is saying.
We will see.
But my question is, if Kyrie doesn't have a good game, aren't we going to be on Kyrie?
We are.
That's the problem.
So we just think that Ant is not as big of a star as Kyrie or Luka or Ant.
Exactly.
Cat's
I mean,
not a big
Cat
star.
is not. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why I truly feel like can't too much pressure really be on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't look at him as a star like that. So for me, can't too much pressure really be on you. If you come out here and you average 14, we're talking about Ant. If you come out here and you get 21, we're talking about Ant. So that's what I'm saying. If Kyrie don't play well, we are going to talk about Kyrie, and the Dallas Mavericks probably ain't going to win.
What about the pressure of, if I don't do my job, we can't win, right? Even when Michael Jordan was at the top of the top, before he got to winning the rings, he didn't have no supporting help. So we would just say, yo, Jordan, he can't get it done. Right? We didn't really get on him as far as his teammates. But when you got a player like that, like Scottie Pippen, when he started coming around and he wasn't delivering, they was on Scottie too, though.
Let me ask you, Shady.
They got to be both, bro.
I do have a question, and we haven't prepared for this, so everybody think about it in real time. Shady, unfortunately, I'm coming to you first, so you don't have as much time to prepare. Who's under the most pressure?
I'm under pressure.
Those four players, speaking of pressure, Cat, Luka, Kyrie, Ant. Who's under the most pressure in the game tonight out of those
pressure,
four?
that's a good one.
More pressure?
The most out of those four.
Ant.
Why?
Because, I mean, that's a great question. I guess y'all line that up. I get it.
No.
I know.
I think it's good.
But the thing is, like, because Luka, despite how you look at it, Luka and Kyrie still got 2 more games, right? They got to win this one, and they got to back home, and then they come back, right? So my thing is, that can't be too much pressure for me, in my opinion, because you got multiple games to win, just one. And the other thing is, when you look at the Timberwolves, who you going to talk about? Like we just talked about with Ant-Man. So it has to be more pressure on him, because if he don't deliver, it's like we've been comparing you to Michael Jordan. We've been saying how great you are, this, that, and third, which he is in his own right. But if you lose, right, it's all on you. Because one thing about Ant-Man that I do love, what the new culture, the new generation don't do, they don't take no ownership, right? They pass, I'm so good, I pass along. Nah, if they do bad and they lose, even if he's playing well, yo, it's on me, yo. I got it. Yo, I'll come out with more energy next game. I didn't come out enough energy. Yo, we lost you, that was on me. I didn't shoot the ball well enough. So he's that type of player where he takes all the blame, and I'm gonna give him all the credit.
Yeah, that's fair. Joy, of those four players, Cat, Kyrie, Luka, Ant-Man, who is under the most pressure tonight?
I think it's Ant, for sure. I mean, he has to have a huge game, regardless. He's got to come out with energy. He's got to be efficient, and he is he's the heart and pulse and leader of that team. So on top of being the best player, so he has to have a big game tonight. And of course, as James said, we are going to talk about him more than we're going to talk about Cat. But I think if I'm ranking them, Cat is a close number 2, because he is their number 2.
Yes, he is.
Like, he's not that far behind. We're not just going to absolve him just because Ant is a big star. Cat is a big name as well, and he has a lot of responsibility, not just being their number 2, but he's a big man that they require to score. Like, they are not going to win unless he hits his shots, he is efficient, and he stays in the game. Like, they've had foul trouble a couple times. They can't get in that situation. So Luka, Kyrie, do not have pressure on them in this game. Obviously, they would like to close the series out, get some rest. All that's understandable, but they have some wiggle room. The Timberwolves do not, and they need to come out and play a really, really great game tonight to extend this series. But to me, even though the pressure is on the star, we all know what it is. If Cat doesn't come out and have a big game, even if he just doesn't come out and have his average, they're not going to win this game.
Yeah, when you tell you about Cat real quick before you go, when I be like watching the games, look at the matchups, yo, he's the biggest mismatch out of everybody.
Who gonna guard him?
Luka, even Kyrie and
small on him,
Because you're 7 foot, they can do everything. Who else is going to guard you? PJ Washington, he's 6'7".
Yeah, no, that's true.
Ridiculous.
No, when you talk about pressure, that's why I love football. Because we only get one try. You know, it ain't hey, man, got next game, none of that. So when you talk about pressure, all the pressure's on Ant. All the pressure is on Ant to will his team to a victory. Because you know what? If you don't will your team to a victory, you know what happened? Good job this year, dog. Hey.
Keep your head up.
Next year we're going to get them, all right? Hey, you know what I'm saying? Hey, where you going? You going to Cabo? Or, you know, that's what it is. So all the pressure's on them because you got to win or you go home. Kyrie Irving and Luka know if we don't win, we could close this thing out at home. You know what? If we don't win again, we get to get on the plane and get to try to close this thing out again in Minnesota. So when you talk all the pressure, your season could be over tonight. Great season for the Minnesota Timberwolves, beating the Denver Nuggets, the defending champs, and your season could be over tonight if Ant doesn't deliver.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.